Thank you, Tato. What a great message comes from the children of South Africa, children of African region, and the children of the world. You set the tone. Thank you. My dear children of Africa and children of the world, Your Excellency, President Ramaphosa, Vice President of Malawi, dear brother and the former Prime Minister of Sweden, Stefan Löfven, dear brother and the Director General of ILO, Guy Ryder, my fellow laureate, Lema, dignitaries, sisters and brothers. It is very significant to assemble here in our first international conference, fifth international conference, in the land of Nelson Mandela. It has a great significance because this is a great reminder for those very fundamental tenets of justice, equality, freedom for every human being that Madiba and Desmond Tutu and many others lived with. This is also a land of transformation. An ordinary Indian barrister came and stayed here for 21 years. But you have transformed him to Mahatma Gandhi. One of the greatest souls lived on the earth. That was miracle happened here, very close by. Yesterday I visited Peter Maritzburg station, and some of you might know that when Gandhi was traveling, he had a proper first-class ticket. When he entered in a only white compartment, he was thrown down. He was removed. And there is a monument on that very place, which we visited yesterday. But his anger, his pain, did not go into any kind of revenge or hate or violence. He began his first satyagraha, the first civil disobedience, the non-cooperation, using the tools of non-violence and peace. Not only in India, but that has given the philosophy to the rest of the world. He converted those values of liberty and dignity of human beings, peace and non-violence, into social movement and political movement. That's why I said that this is the land of transformation. Ordinary people can bring about miracles in the world. So each one of us have come for a purpose here, not just to celebrate something, but frankly speaking, I remember when this conference was conceptualized back in 1996 in the Netherlands. and the first conference, and the second, and the third, and the fourth. We have big reasons to celebrate. Today, I am sorry to say that we may have some success stories here and there. But when I think and speak on behalf of world's children and the most marginalized children, nothing much to celebrate. How come the number of child laborers have increased in the last 20 years? Who will take this responsibility if not each one of us, all of us? Who would we hold accountable for all those 8 million children who were added to workforce globally? And 16 million children in this region, in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa in particular. We have to reflect. This is not the matter of being depressed, but it's a challenge for us. We have to accept it as a challenge with greater resolve, greater commitment. Dear friends, I had an honor to meet Madiba a couple of times. And when I came to invite him for the global march against child labor, which we organized across 103 countries, demanding new ILO convention against the worst forms of child labor in 1998, I had a good conversation. Every single minute, every single second, listening to him, talking to him, has brought new sparks inside me. And he has written a letter, though he could not come because of his ill health, to flag off the march from the Robben Island. We started in front of that jail where Madiba has been put for years as a symbol. He has written that only collective and concerted action can rescue and prevent our children to become the further victims of child labor. That has given us a big boost and foundation for the global march, and very personal inspiration for me. I'm also inspired with Mahatma Gandhi, who has given a very simple mantra, a talisman, that if you have to measure the success of your policies and programs and your actions, think of the poorest of the poor, the last person of society. And if we are not able to reach out to the last child who was born somewhere in Africa, somewhere in Asia or Latin America or in Europe, in bonded labor, in slavery, who is very vulnerable to be sold like animals or sometimes in lesser price than the animals. If we cannot ensure freedom, dignity, education, health care for that child, we have to think twice. We cannot sit quiet. We cannot sleep comfortably. And therefore, all of us, are concerned that when we are talking about this growth of increase in child labor, this is not during the pandemic. This is 4 years before the pandemic, after our collective commitment to end child labor by 2025. Between 2016 to 2020. It was the time when the world has become $10 trillion richer. Today I am angry to say that one of every 5 children in this part of the world are working as child laborers, whereas in the rest of the world, 1 out of 10 children are working. When we first held our conference, the number of child laborers in Africa and the number of child laborers in Africa now is same between 1997 and now. And in the meantime, the wealth of the world has doubled. You cannot blame Africa. I'm angry to say that this is happening because of a discriminatory world order. I wanted to be more limited in my words, but I'm afraid whether it is still the age-old racial discriminatory mindset prevails somewhere. This is my question. It is our collective moral and political and economic responsibility to ensure that African children get their fair share. We cannot end child labor without eradication of child labor in Africa. Africa is the mirror of the world civilization, the world development. Today we are talking about, today means nowadays, the vaccine apartheid. But it must not be the development apartheid. It must not be the justice apartheid. That must not go on. This is intolerable. Dear sisters and brothers, some years ago when I rescued a girl, 8-year-old, Devli, she was born in intergenerational slavery and was working in a stone quarry. When she realized that she is free, she asked me, "Why didn't you come earlier? Why didn't you come earlier?" This is the question, dear friends, I am extending to you and you and you and those who are listening through web. Why didn't we go earlier and reach out to those children who are sold, who are lived in these kind of situations? I refuse to accept that the world is so poor that cannot protect each of our children. We can do. We did. In the leadership of my friend Guy and ILO and many more countries have proven. They may share success stories here. We know what is the problem and we know what are the solutions, what works. But what we need, as Madiva said, concerted action. What we need is courage. You have shown courage right away to host this conference in spite of this pandemic as well as the flood. You have that power and courage. We all have that. So, Devli's question has to be answered. I ask my colleagues in civil society, how long we will keep on fighting and having differences? How long we will live up with our egos? Why can't we can be compassionate together for our children and come with collective voices? I ask my friends in the governments, may these children not be your voters. But this is the time to rise above partisan politics. This is the time to rise above the politics of vote for our children because we cannot afford to lose the entire generation. I ask my trade union colleagues, how can we reach out to the most unorganized sections of society whose children are forced to work? I ask my business leaders, employers, that compassion and profit can also go hand in hand. Ethics and profit can go hand in hand. So let us go for that. I ask everyone sitting here that you are much more powerful. I have taken a couple of more minutes, but one more minute if you can give me. There is no reason to lose hope. There is no reason. 40 years ago, 45 years ago, when I began my fight against child labor, it was a serious problem, though it was a non-issue. So I can say with my humility that we were able to reduce child labor in the past. We can end child labor. That power the world has. A little boy who is sitting here, he's no more a boy, maybe a young person, 18 years, 19 years. When we rescued him, his name is Barku, from child labor, bonded labor, in fact, in a mica mining. And he has been working inside the tunnel-like mines. One day, a mine collapsed, and he saw the death of his friend. Both of them were working, and they were 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old. And then a shred of mica shot her eye, and one of his eye has become blind. But this boy did not lose the hope. He took a resolve that he is not going to leave any child labor in his area and make sure that everyone is freed and goes to school. Today in his village, every child is going to school. Each one of you, dear sisters, dear brothers, are much more powerful. I am just asking one question. If Gandhi was alive, if Madiba was alive, and asked this question to you, what Devli has asked, how would you answer? I humbly, with my folded hands, request you. I request you because I don't want to lose hope. I believe in you. Don't wait that some miracle will happen. We are the people. This is the time. Place is here. Let us march. Let us march from exploitation to education. Let us march from darkness to light. Let us march from injustices to justice. Let us march for the dignity and freedom of every single human being and every single child. Let us march. Let us march. Thank you. Thank you so much.